So we're back in the Blackdown Hills. This is actually all quite interesting. It's a bit of an experience for me because the last time I was here was just after the global lockdown, the alleged COVID incident. The time before that was, of course, for the duration of the first lockdown, but there's definitely something magical about this landscape.
This is Evan. We do things a bit different. Don't ask me. I'm a grockle, but like where I'm from, my hometown, what we do for fun, we didn't have healthy activities like TikTok or anything. So what we had to do was strangle a tree with nylon until we could swing from it. Let me demonstrate. I don't know what your kid didn't do this. My kid didn't do this, but 1 second. Okay, having thrown these youngsters under the bus, I will say they're probably the guys with BMXs who came up here over lockdown. Good on you, lads. Good not work. I'm going to dock you. No, I'm not.
So for those of you who are actually a bit unsure, unknown, meet Gavin, the man with the swing. He's Canadian, and funnily enough, he actually spent quite a period of lockdown coming up here, going back down the hill. Basically, he'd pop up here for dinner at the time, but my old campsite is sort of just in that direction. But it's one of those things we're sort of walking around and reminiscing at the moment.
Thirsty ferret. Cheers to the thirsty ferret. Lucky dog.
Someone needs to work on their Welsh. So yeah, that was Gavin. What can we say about Gavin? He's an unusual character, former Marine, bit unbalanced in his fucking chakras, but we've known each other quite some time now. And, well, whilst he's driving back, I thought I'd have a break from him. So I'm going to go for a walk. Instead, and we'll see where that ends up, eh? See, those who have been watching these videos or following my poetry for quite some time, you'll have memories of 2020. And everyone will have memories of 2020 regardless, but it's a strange old world. Connection to place, connection to land. I don't know. There's something about bugging out during a global pandemic in an isolated place in Devon. Every now and again I find myself coming back, made connections not just to the land, the spirit of the place, but the people as well. Sure, there weren't many of them about at the time, but it was one of them things. The magic guides us where the magic guides us, and here I am once more. It's this land all around here. I collected my firewood, I gathered my water, and these trees, hey, well, what can I say? They kept me warm during what was probably one of the most strangely dark and strangely magical moments of my life. But such is the world we inhabit. Now, it's too early in the year at this point to get a full appreciation of this place, but in the spring There's bluebells everywhere. Wild garlic. And what can I say? It's an altogether magical place. Now, the journey forward, moving forwards, is our plan at least. As always, all plans are subject to change, but our plan at least to be spending as much of this year, not the entire year, in Devon. The poet needs to rest, sort his head out. It's been a strange year the last year. Peaceful places. Peaceful places. Now, on the subject of the poet taking a break from the pavements, this doesn't mean that the poet is taking a break from poetry or writing itself. Of wanderlust poetry and ideological fundamentalism, I'm now currently about 180 pages in. That's 180, and it's going well. I can't complain. It's been a journey the last 12 years that isn't normal. Well, it's certainly fucking unique, if nothing else, but I think that's my focus at this point, and it has to be the focus. Well, the poet needs a break from the pavements. I think it's been long enough, and there are many, many reasons for this. The biggest issue has been exposure to too many people, beyond my control. The thing is, when you spend your life sat on a pavement writing poetry, moving from town to town, it's very easy to become exposed to all kinds of energies. Good energies, bad energies. But eventually it begins to take its toll. It's one of those things. You just leave yourself sat there. Some people like, some people don't. And the negative energy out there, it's sort of, I don't know, it has a way of finding you, but I can't be bothered with it anymore. It's one of them things. I've become a far more privately orientated person than I perhaps was previously. Now you'll notice some fucker has set this up wrong. The way it works, left foot, right foot. Now when I step over here, there should, on the left, be a higher point for me to put my foot. These should effectively cross over, but they don't. So it's less intuitive hopping over this one, but it still works all the fucking same. The thing about this part of the country is it's fuck all but farms. You got farms, hills, farms, ancient woodland, more hills, and yet more farms. It's about as undeveloped as it gets. After all these years wandering around, interacting with the vast number of humans in the city space, this, at this point, is the only place I want to be. There's minimal humans, and the humans you do find are chilled out earthy folk, and where Aggie City energy can't bother a poet who ultimately is just looking for his next bit of inspiration. That such is this world. We can indulge something, but when is enough? Too much. Hello, sheeples. You're probably not the same sheeples, are you? I'd ask if you remember me, but it's one of them things, ain't it, sheeples? Where's the horse-alls gone? There was a horse here. Now, seems the poet has a thing for Iron Age hill forts, because in the distance what you'll see there is something called Hembury Hill Fort. It's like a high point. It's an Iron Age hill fort on the western side of the Blackdown Hills. In many ways, it's a special place. A special, special place. For those who find themselves reading my next book, once it's published, you've got to get a taste of this pleasure of mine. Ordinarily, when it comes to hill forts, one called Barbary Castle up on the Ridgeway. I found myself, how would I put it, escaping there, wandering there, walking there. Usually on my way to Avebury, but sometimes just for the sake of a walk out to the hill fort. Yeah. It's funny indeed, how I always find myself stumbling upon these hill forts. And just like that, we find ourselves hitting a road, the path to Broad Hembury once more. It's a funny old world, eh? A funny old world indeed. You see, during the lockdown, I used to do this walk every day. Part of what they'd call my daily exercise. I'd wake up in the forest up there on the hill, on a campsite, the remains of which are slowly being buried beneath the forest. It's one of those things. I'd normally clean every trace away, but I didn't know whether there was going to be another lockdown, so I left some stuff there. And of course, by the time the second lockdown came around, I found myself in Wales, so it never happened. And I've been back up there now, had a poke around, and there's still some barely visible traces appearing through the forest floor, and I thought to myself, well, I could clean up what's left, but that's history right there, and the forest is burying it anyway. So let's leave it there as a testament not only to how quickly and effectively nature buries something over, which was that period of time, the great lockdown of 2020, and the poet found himself bugging out. But I suppose it's one of those things, isn't it? Global lockdown, mate. Completed it. Just like that, we're back where we started, eh? You in, Rob? You're right there.